Hey, horror fans, welcome back to another episode of Terror Talk where I discuss creepy clips online. The original horror music that you hear in these videos is composed by me. Now imagine being able to save on everyday expenses and put that money towards your next horror movie outing, spooky decor, or haunted carnival excursion. Be sure to watch all the way through as I have something that will help feed your next horror adventures. Now let's get into it and have some fun.
I'll be honest with you, I've probably spent more time chasing women than I'd like to admit. I've had to tone it down a lot since college, partly because of what I'm about to tell you. I went to school in California, and while I haven't been back in a while, when I was there, the culture was very open. And when I say open, I mean sexual. This honestly could have been true for other colleges in other states at the time.
Were you like that when you were younger? That you just chased guys or girls or whatever it is that you're into when you were younger? Unfortunately, I did a bit of that, just chasing after girls because I didn't have the right mindset earlier on that it's just not healthy to keep pursuing girls that aren't interested. And for me right now, I kind of do my own thing, but let me know in the comments below if you were ever like that because it really isn't healthy. Like, it really isn't healthy to just keep on pursuing women that aren't interested, or men if you are a woman, or a man if you are a man. I don't judge. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you were ever like that.
But I really wouldn't know. It was my sophomore year, and I had just finished pledging the fraternity Pike. About halfway through the semester, though, I was getting sick of only talking to sorority girls that seemed to know half the guys in every frat. It was honestly a little gross, and I started developing a fear that every girl I was interested in had been with several people I personally knew. I tried my luck and created a Tinder profile. It wasn't long before I matched with someone whose interests seemed to match mine. We started talking, and things were going well. After a few days, we made plans to meet up at a local college bar called Tap House on a Saturday night. This was actually my favorite bar in the area because it had pool tables and I had been clearing racks since I was 10 years old. I remember getting there a little early so I could secure a table and warm my muscles up a bit. An hour passed though, and I came to terms with the fact that I had probably been stood up. I was trying to decide whether I should salvage the night or just go home and play online chess when I got a notification. To my surprise, it was Yamel, the girl I was waiting on, telling me she had just arrived. I greeted her, and she apologized for being late. We got some drinks.
Dang, an hour late is just rude. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're going on a date with someone an hour late, I would have left after a half an hour. Like, come on. It's almost kind of like a screw you type situation. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I know things happen sometimes, but an hour late is kind of ridiculous. Like, honestly, just freaking be on time. It's not that difficult.
Played some pool, and got to know each other. She was Latina and a heavy drinker, so I got plastered just trying to keep up. At one point, she asked for my Instagram, which I gave to her. 10 seconds later, I found myself staring at a collection of explicit photos she had just sent me. I was confused, but in my drunken state, I wasn't going to complain. Before I could even respond, she told me, "Your turn," which I figured could only mean one thing. Honestly, if I hadn't been so drunk, I probably would have questioned why we were sending pictures to each other when we were literally 5 feet apart, but I didn't have the foresight. I complied with her request. We laughed about the whole thing, and that was that. A few hours later, things at the bar were starting to wind down. I was planning on inviting her to my place, but she beat me to it, asking if I could spend the night at hers. I agreed, and we left the bar. I couldn't even walk in a straight line. It was honestly embarrassing. We Ubered to her apartment, which was actually in Oakland, something I hadn't realized before.
I also feel that when you're meeting a stranger for the first time, getting this drunk is a very bad idea. I mean, it's fine if you want to just drink casually, but getting this plastered is just like, why? Nothing ever good comes out of it. And I'm sure nothing good will come out of this story either. But yeah, just drink responsibly, especially if you're with someone you don't know, because I don't know, I feel like these girls on Tinder, and honestly, if I'm being honest, I've never even tried Tinder myself. Like it just seems like a really gross, sleazy kind of way to meet women, in my opinion. And yeah, I just don't think it's that great. But I certainly wouldn't get this plastered or drunk if I was on a first date with someone. And I don't know, I don't date. Like, I might in the future, but right now I really just don't like dating because it gives me a lot of social anxiety, like a lot of social anxiety. So I stay away from that. But if you're going to be on a date, just like drink responsibly. That's all I'm saying.
4. Honestly, red flags should have been going off in my brain the moment we crossed into Oakland. She unlocked the door of her apartment and stepped aside so I could go first. I took a few steps inside and heard the door shut behind me. It was pitch black in there. As I was turning around to ask her to flip some lights on, the room lit up. To my horror, I wasn't facing a harmless 5'2" girl anymore. Instead, two massive bald dudes with tank tops were standing in front of the door with their hands clasped. I turned around, and there was another white bald dude in front of me. I wish I could tell you more about the room I was in, but it was honestly difficult for me to recall small details of that night. I couldn't fight or flee, so I just froze. The guy in front of me began telling me my own name, birthday, and age. He then went on to say that the girl I had just gone out with was 17, meaning I had received and sent explicit pictures to a minor. He then suggested that I do what I was told, which I did. The two guys behind me confiscated my phone, wallet, and keys, all of which I gave up without a fight.
Dang, this would be a really bad situation to get yourself into. The fact that she's 17 and then these bald guys are basically confiscating everything he has. Dang. That would really, really suck. And that's why it's just, when, like I said, don't get so drunk when you're first getting to know someone because very few people in this world can actually genuinely be trusted. And I'm not trying to be super dark or anything, but that's just the way it is. So, yeah, what a shit situation to get yourself into.
I asked the guy in front of me what he wanted, and he basically told me that he was a major distributor of illicit substances in Northern California. He told me that I'd be outed as a pedophile if I didn't distribute his product to my fraternity and university. I wish I could remember more specifics. The two men behind me then gave me a piece of paper and told me to write down my address, followed by a list of names and numbers for as many students as I knew. I told them that I'd need my phone to complete the list, so one of them held it firmly in front of me and let me scroll through. All three of them were hovering over me now, knowing I was basically checkmated. I don't know what compelled me to do it, but the literal second I saw a chance, I ran. I was too drunk to think about the consequences of those pictures on my phone. I narrowly escaped out the door I had entered from and ran as fast as I possibly could. It's not like I was safe, though. I was still smack dab in one of the most dangerous places in America. Eventually, I found a nice-looking house and begged them to open up. I pleaded with them to let me use their phone and call 911, and then I told the police everything. But of course, I didn't remember the address of that girl's apartment. An officer picked me up and took down a report before asking me if I would be okay leading them back to that apartment. I was actually able to retrace the way I had run, and I waited in one of the squad cars as the police barged in. After a few minutes, an officer told me that the place was completely deserted and there were not any signs that people had even been there. In the following weeks, the police actually took my report seriously and launched a full-scale investigation. They concluded that it was probably gang-related, but were never able to arrest anyone. That was years ago. I bet this incident has been swept under the rug of Oakland's rampant crime and drug-related activity. In all honesty, what happened to me all those years ago is probably nowhere near the top of the list when it comes to that godforsaken place. I haven't used a dating app since.
Yeah, I honestly think that this is one of the creepiest stories on Mr. Nightmare's channel. because that just goes to show you what could happen if you're not careful. And dang, this is just such a chilling story in my opinion. And definitely one of the most chilling that I've heard on his channel, like I said, but I just think it's a really, really creepy story. And no wonder the guy never wanted to get on a dating app ever again. I'd be like, hell no, screw that. Because I just think online dating is just terrible. It's like, I don't know, just really, really bad these days. And I hear from my other friends who are more familiar with it than I am that it is just really bad. So it's sad that it's that way. And it's even sadder that people go onto these dating apps to try to scam people. And, you know, I think that there are a lot of online scammers on these dating apps too, not just in life scammers like this one 17-year-old was. And it is sad that she's just 17 and is tied up in this horrible stuff. But you really got to be careful. Just meet in public for a few times. And I don't know, I wouldn't even go back to anyone's house right away. You know, you could go back to your house if you think the person is safe, but I don't know, you're kind of taking a chance these days. But yeah, you just got to be careful. But yeah, I thought this was a really creepy story, and if you are ready to start saving and making money to help feed your next horror adventures and passions, check the pinned comment below. And I hope you enjoyed my commentary and the music, and I will see you in the next video.